Let's talk the cup. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the cup. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening. Happy Healthy Heart Month. Happy Black History Month. Happy February. Happy all of that. This is Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler Virtual Book Club, and the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel. And just in case people wondering in the onset, what's going on, what is this guy about? Just so that you all know, those of you who are just stopping by and maybe just skimming through and you're just trying to find something to listen to and you're wondering what's going on, what is this guy talking about? This platform is about motivation. It's about inspiration. It is about making sure that we strive to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations, trying to make sure that we are going to this place that's called better. That's really what it's all about. So we have this conversation for 1800 seconds every Tuesday. We get together and we exchange thoughts, we exchange ideas, we exchange experiences and circumstances, and we talk about life. We are just real people talking about real things and trying to make sure that we challenge ourselves. We don't become better until you challenge yourself. And one of the things that I've discovered that all of us who tune in here, none of us are afraid of a challenge. That's what I like so much about this platform. We're always up for the challenge. We're up for looking at ourselves in a different light, from a different perspective, from a different vantage point, to say, okay, how can I make sure that I've shown up better today than I did yesterday? How do I make sure that I'm deliberate about showing up better tomorrow than I have shown up today? And that's what we talk about. So thank you all for being so supportive for all of these years. I mean, it has been years. So thank you all so much for that. This evening, we're going to talk about embracing what's new and what's next. I tell you all, I've been fortunate and blessed enough to hear for a couple of Sundays now this series about new, next, and now. And it has lit a fire under me about making sure that I am deliberate about embracing what's the new in my life, and not necessarily getting stuck in the now and getting stuck in the past. I know a lot of times we get stuck in the past, and I want us to move beyond that and treat the past, embrace the past, or accept the past for what it is. So I want us to talk about that. But how many of us know people who are just stuck? How many of us can admit sometimes we've just been stuck? If the truth of the matter, sometimes we've just been stuck. We either refused to move on, didn't want to move on, wouldn't move on, or couldn't move on. Sometimes we just got stuck where we were. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we did anything wrong. It's just the state of where we were. And I want to make sure that's not our lot in life as we move forward from this evening. Here we are, February the 13th, 2024. And I want to make sure that we are all intentional about moving on. We often talk about going to this space, and this place is called better. Better happens right now as soon as we make up our minds that, yes, it's going to happen. There is better beyond where I am. There is better beyond where I am. And in order to see the better beyond where I am, I have to open myself up to embrace what's new, to embrace what's next. I want to talk about that. But before I do, I want to just encourage people who are stopping by for the first time to make sure, if you haven't done so, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Click on the notification bell once you've done so. It'll let you know whenever I've gone live or uploaded new content. And I do want to shout out the LTTC VIPs this evening, those who are over in the chat room. Some of you all beat me over to the chat room as the broadcast was getting started. You all were already there. So a special hi to the top 3 people that I see, and that's Tracy Johnson, Linda Martin, and Lynn Gardner. It is so good to see all of you. Let's talk about, as the young folk will say, let's get into this thing. Let's get into this about embracing what's new and what's next. And I'll tell you, the impetus for this conversation is the fact that I read something that a former student of mine posted. I was looking at one of my students' social media presence, and the student posted, "Endings are also beginnings." And I thought, absolutely, I agree with that. Endings are also beginnings. One of the things that I wrote in my last book was that some of us can't say hello to tomorrow until we've learned how to kiss yesterday goodbye. And that is the essence of this conversation. Some people will never know how to say hello to tomorrow until they can kiss yesterday goodbye. And it doesn't mean that our yesterdays were bad. It doesn't mean that our yesterdays were negative. It doesn't mean that our yesterdays were not positively impactful. It means that we have to learn how to say goodbye to those yesterdays. That way we can fully embrace our tomorrows. I wrote this down, you all, as I was just thinking about our conversation this evening. We need to learn how to embrace the end of a thing. We need to learn how to embrace the end of a thing. That's the only way you will learn how to welcome the new that yet awaits you. Let's learn how to embrace the end of a thing. Sometimes we have abandonment issues. We just have attachment issues. Sometimes we just cannot let things go. And I understand that, particularly when we're talking about things that pull on your heartstring. And I'm not necessarily talking about people, but I'm talking about circumstances in life and situations and things and spaces where we no longer exist, spaces where we no longer live. And by those spaces, I'm talking about those psychological spaces, those mental spaces, those emotional spaces. There are some spaces where we no longer exist, where we no longer live. I'd love to go back to some circumstances that I encountered some 20 years ago, but may I tell you this? I can't get back 20 years ago. My body will not let me go back 20 years ago. My mind will not let me go back. Reality will not let me go back 20 years ago. Because if I try to go back 20 years ago, that means I'll wipe out all of the good things that have happened over the course of those 20 years. There are lots of yesterdays that are magical and wonderful. But there are some things. Thank you, Lynn. Sometimes our yesterday has a magnetic hold. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes yesterday just pulls us. Yesterday pulls us and it holds us. It anchors us. It anchors us and causes us to get stuck. But I want to make sure that we are intentional this evening about embracing what's new and embracing what's next. We have to, if we are going to, as we're talking about, yes, we're still in the beginning of 2024, but if we're talking about embracing the new, if we're talking about embracing opportunities and embracing possibilities, some of us have got to let yesterday go. We have to, and we have to be intentional about making sure that we let yesterday go. Cutler, why would you say that? Because one of the things we need to understand is the past is the past. And I can tell you all, I am probably one of the more nostalgic persons that I know. That's why I write so many things down. That's why I have stories about things all around my house. There's a story. One of my friends said, you have a story for everything. There's a story attached to everything. There's a story attached to this piece of furniture. There's a story attached to this piece of artwork. There's a story attached to this piece of artifact. There's a story attached to this souvenir. Yes. And I love the fact that life has given me what I call a lot of movies in my head. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity. I'm so appreciative of the fact that I've been blessed with a lot of motion pictures in my head, a lot of stories in my head. So yes, I'm connected to my past. I'm connected to the people in my past. I'm connected, but I'm not so connected that I can't move on and embrace what's new. I have shoes that have a story behind them. I have clothes that have a story. I have artwork that have stories behind them. Most of us do. There's a story behind so many things in our lives, you all, but we have to be able to move on. We have to be able to move on. That is the only way we can learn how to welcome what's new and what yet awaits. Wouldn't it be sad if there's a bright future that's waiting us, but we couldn't say hello to it and we wouldn't allow it to come into our lives because we're still so stuck on what happened 15 and 20 years ago, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Sometimes we are stuck on what happened 15, 20 years ago. But one of the things that I was briefing and reading this today, one of the things that I read said, well, we have to make sure that we understand that the past really doesn't matter anymore. Well, that was a big one for me, you all. I have to admit that was big for me. And I kept saying, no, the past does matter. And I played with that thing. I played with it. And I said, well, does the past really matter? I understand that it is impactful. I understand that the past created ripple effects. I understand that it created consequences, but really it's over because I cannot recreate it. Couple books ago, I wrote about going to most of you know, or many of you know, that I did my undergraduate studies at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and I had such a wonderful experience. And in particular, during the winters, I loved when the snow would gently fall, and I got a chance to walk out in it, and that creates so many memories for me. And I walked about going back and finding this ancient treasure among ruins, because I'm such a nostalgic person. But what I had to realize is that while that plays in my mind, it creates this scene, it creates this imagery in my head. The past is the past. It's over. I cannot recapture that. For all the ripple effects it created, for all the waves it created, for all of the circumstances it created, for all of the consequences that it created, it's really over. I can relish in it. I can enjoy the memories, but the past really doesn't matter anymore. Cutler, are you sure that the past really doesn't matter anymore? The past really does not matter anymore. I sometimes have problems making major changes. Tracy, as do I. But I want us to go and tell people to come on and let's talk the color, because we're really talking about embracing the new and the next. Embracing what's new and embracing what's next. And one of the things we have to realize is that the past really doesn't matter anymore. And I know that's a difficult pill to swallow, but I want you to just sit there in that. I want you to let it marinate for a while and ask yourself, as much as it impacted me, does it really matter? It's over. Now, let's be very clear. That doesn't mean that we should not learn from what was, because we really should learn from what was. Life's lessons are everywhere, especially the mistakes that we've made, the things that we didn't always get right. That's why I wrote one book. We don't always get it right the first time. Sometimes we don't get it right the second or the third time. But we can learn from what was. Recognize the past doesn't matter anymore, but I still can learn from what was. I can learn from past mistakes. I can learn how to let them go. I can learn how to have closure. I can think of all the things that I didn't like about the past and remind myself, you know what, my failures, my defeats, my setbacks, my fumbles, my foibles, all of those are in the past. All of those things are in the past. And the truth of the matter is that my setbacks and my defeats really aren't part of my current life. I learned from them, but they're not part of my current life, and they certainly don't define who I am. So the past doesn't matter anymore, but yes, I've learned from it. And not only have I learned from it, I've learned how to accept it for what it was. Now, that's a big one for some of us, because one of the things that I know that I had to come to terms with was that you can't let go of something if you don't accept it for what it is. You can't let go of something if you don't accept it for what it is or for what it was. You can't live in denial. You've got to learn to let the past go. Absolutely, the past was wonderful. The past was remarkable. But for some of us, the past was painful. But whatever the case may be, say to yourself, it does not matter anymore. You all, I had to wrestle with this thing, that my past created ripple effects that I'm yet living with. It created consequences that I'm yet living with. But it is over. As a thing, the past is over. I'm learning from it. I've learned from it. And guess what? I've learned how to accept it. Because again, you can't let go of the past if you're not willing to accept it for what it is. Because if you're not willing to accept it for what it is, guess what? You're living in denial. If you can't accept the past as the past, you're living in denial. We need to learn how to let things go for our own peace of mind. We need to learn how to let things go for our own mental ease. It means I've learned how to make peace with everything that has happened. That doesn't mean, let me be very clear when I say this, that does not mean that everything that happened to me was right. It doesn't mean that everything that I went through was good. In fact, sometimes we were victimized by other people. We were victimized by life. We were victimized by circumstances. And so we're not giving them a pass, a PASS. But what we're saying is, you know what? Let me learn how to make peace with what happened to me, because I'm not going to be stuck. I'm not going to allow my past to hold me hostage in such a way that I can't embrace what God has for me, that I can't embrace what's new and what's next. And so let me learn to accept what was. Some things didn't survive the test of time. Some people didn't survive the test of time. Some relationships didn't survive the test of time. Some circumstances didn't survive the test of time. So let me just accept the past for what it was. Make peace with what happened and keep on going. Because once I make peace with what happened and I keep on going, it moves me at least into the present. Some of us aren't even in the present, let alone embracing the future. Some of us are not living in the present because we're stuck in the past. Everything and everybody in your past did not survive the test of time. So let's learn how to focus on the here and the now. Once you do that, once we learn how to focus, I hope I'm helping somebody, you all. Once we focus on the here and the now, it sets us free. It sets us free emotionally. It sets us free mentally. So that way we can embrace, we can at least stand in the present again. I know some 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old people who are stuck in the past, and every conversation you spend some conversation with them. And it's not that they're just nostalgic, but they're trapped in the past and can't let go of past disappointments and past failures and past embarrassments and past shames and past hurts. But go ahead, Cutler. You were going there. But I denounce that kind of bondage that hovers over any of us, that would not allow us to freely step into the present. So whatever past defeats, whatever past failures, whatever past hurts, whatever past embarrassment, whatever past shame, whatever past circumstances, whatever past relationships, whatever past people, I denounce all of that and declare that it no longer has bondage over any of us. Cutler, did you really go there? Yes, I did. Because I realized that some of us are hurting because we're bound by the past. But let it go. Step into the newness, at least of the, we'll get into the newness of the new and the next and the future, but I want us to at least step in the newness of what's now, so that we can step into the present and be thankful for what it is. The present is a present. The present is a gift. Every day I wake up and I have a new present. It is a gift. And I feel wonderful. And I'm thankful for every new gift I'm given. Every time I have a new present, I'm thankful for it. I don't always know what every day is going to hold, but I'm thankful for it. I don't live in the past because I'm so busy trying to find out what's going on in my present. And I'm excited about what's happening, what's going to happen in my future. So let's learn how to embrace the present and be thankful for what it is. And when we can step into the present and embrace it for what it is, then we'll learn how to embrace the future with excitement. We'll learn how to have this expectancy. We will live with what I call anticipation. Anticipatorily is how we will live. Sounds like a fancy word, Cutler. It's not a fancy word. You heard the word anticipate in there. So it means we live anticipatorily. I am anticipating what's next. I am anticipating what's new. I am open to new experiences and new circumstances. I want us to be able to do that. And in so doing, we will live happy and fulfilling lives. We will have a positive and a healthy and an optimistic perspective about what is yet to come, about what awaits me. Because what I know and what I believe is that that as much as I am looking and eager about what awaits me is also eager about meeting me. Can I tell y'all, I almost jumped up from this chair. For just as much as I am excited about what is waiting for me, I know that what's waiting for me is excited about meeting me. And I'm excited about it. And so I want us to learn how in this moment, open ourselves to the possibility of what's new. New opportunities await me. New circumstances, new privileges await us all. Life is this continuous drive, and it's a drive, and it's bursting with excitement and unlimited possibilities and new experiences. Yes, some will take us through the highs and the lows. That's just what life does. But one of the things I believe is that my life, my journey, my movement is dynamic. And there's so many possibilities that yet await me, and so many possibilities yet await us all. Let's just learn how to embrace them. Remember, every ending is a new beginning. So what are we going to do? We're going to acknowledge and accept the past. Yep, the past was the past. I acknowledge it. I accept it. It doesn't mean that everything that happened in it was right. But guess what? I am all right. I'm okay as a result of it. It's a tautology. It is what it is, or it was what it was. I can't change it. We cannot go back and change the past. That's just not going to happen. That is that's the hard lesson that I had to come to grips with. Oh, Cutler, so why are you telling me that one of the things I have to do is understand that the past doesn't matter anymore? Because I cannot change it. Can't change it. Let me just be transparent, you all. You have no idea how many times I replayed falling off a ladder or jumping off a ladder in my head. You all have no idea how many times I said, if I would have just done X, Y, and Z, I wouldn't have had to do that. And in my mind, I wanted to recreate it. I wanted to redo it so that I did not end up with a broken foot and now 3 titanium rods in my ankle. Had to go through reconstructive ankle surgery twice. If I could go back and redo or undo. That thing almost took me to a place of depression because it was debilitating. It was paralyzing. Some of you all walked through this with me, and thank you. And there were times when I came on the screen and I smiled and I shared these moments and I was encouraged because of you all. But can I tell you, I did this so many times in my head trying to undo if I would have only done X, Y, and Z. And sometimes we blame circumstances, people, and even the creator for things. But guess what? None of that will empower or enable me to go back and change anything. So I said, I have to accept it. I have to acknowledge and I have to accept it. Because I struggled with that. I have never been, since I first learned, when I finally learned how to walk, and my mother tells a story about, me learning to walk as a baby mama. Don't put it in the chat. Don't put it in the comments. That's just between us and family members who know the story. Don't put that in the chat. But my mother reminds me, I know the story about how I learned how to walk. And when I learned how to walk, I've never not been able to walk. Let that sink in. When I finally got up as a child and learned how to walk, I was never not able to walk. It was emotionally crippling. I think I'm freeing myself by saying this. It was emotionally crippling for me. Tracy, you're right. Those if onlys. What would have? If only I would have done this. Those if onlys and only ifs can put you in a bad space and a bad place. I'm confessing. And thank you all for being here and walking me through that. You don't even know how much you helped me. So the times I came on and said that you all are helping me, you really did. You all encouraged me. You motivated me and you walked me right on through that. You lived through that with me. Thank you. You didn't know that you were my therapist, did you? You were. Walk me right on through that. And so I can say to us, let's learn how to acknowledge and accept the past. There are some people, some loved ones. Let me just go here for a moment. There are some loved ones who are no longer in my life. They're no longer here on the earth. That's what I mean. It's not a broken relationship. They're no longer living. And my heart was broken. And I'm still living with the scars of a broken heart. But I can't undo it. I can't change it. I have to live with it. Death is one of those things that happens and does not, if it were a person, it says, yes, I took place. And no, I will not undo anything. And yes, you now just have to live with the circumstances of what I created. That's what death says, and that's what death does. And we have to find the wherewithal, the fortitude, the resilience, the tenacity to get up somehow and keep going, because death does not give me an option. I can't undo it. So I have to acknowledge it and accept it and keep on going. And it is a bitter pill to swallow, because some of us have encountered it more than any person deserves to encounter. We've had more heartbreak than the average person. I get that. And so that's why I speak from a place of transparency. And I keep thinking, could I have called so-and-so? Could I have said this? Could I have done that? Is there anything that I could have said and could have persuaded someone to seek this particular medical treatment, and maybe it would have changed things? Maybe I could have spent more time. But we can't undo it. So acknowledge it, accept it, and keep on going. And release the resentment and learn how to forgive. Forgive yourself and keep on moving. I hope I'm helping somebody this evening, because I want us to learn how to embrace what's new and what's next. And I want us to learn how to release the resentment and release all of that and forgive ourselves and move on. And so embracing the newness says, now let me set some clear goals. Let me set some aspirations. Let me help move my own life in a direction where there is purpose and where there's destiny, where I have some clear and some realistic and some achievable goals. Let me do that. And not only that, not only must I acknowledge and accept, not only must I release resentment and forgive, not only must I set clear goals and set clear aspirations. One of the things that I have to do, thank you, Cutler, now I can embrace change and adaptability and possibility. Life is ever changing. Time is filled with swift transition. We sing that, some of us sing that as a hymn. Transition means change, and time is filled with swift, fast-moving changes. My grandmother used to say that things would change so fast, sometimes it would give you swimming in the head. It means it would almost make your head spin and you would feel dizzy. Time is filled with swift transition, to the point that if we don't anchor some things, nothing on earth unmoved can stand. Y'all know the rest of the hymn. I'm not going to go there, because if I go there, I won't leave or end this broadcast. But one of the things that we need to do, y'all, as we are embracing change and adaptability and possibility and new opportunities, one of the things that we have got to do is make sure that we surround ourselves with a supportive network. Let's make sure that we surround ourselves with positive people. Let's make sure that we surround ourselves with people in our village, in our circle, in our community who embrace the newness right along with us, so we can walk hand in hand and march from here into purpose, so we can march from here right into destiny, so we can march from here into the thing that is calling us, that's beckoning us. And newness is calling us. Opportunity is calling us. Success is calling us. Victory is calling us. Win is calling us. Greatness is calling us. Better is calling us. So let's walk hand in hand, join hand in hand with somebody, and walk into the newness of life. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's acknowledge the past for what it is. Let's enjoy the present, but let's embrace what's new and what's next. Because as one of my students said, and that's the impetus for this evening's conversation, one of my students posted on social media that endings are also beginnings. And I want us to recognize that. And I want to conclude by reading something that I wrote, something that I shared at the beginning of this broadcast. Learn how to embrace the end of a thing. Learn how to embrace the end of a thing. Don't you have attachment issues? Learn how to embrace the end of a thing. That is the only way you will learn to welcome the new that yet awaits you. Thank you all so much for allowing me to come into your home, whatever space you've allowed me to come into. Thank you all so much for that. Let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Stay safe, stay sane. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. Keep your hopes up for what's new. Keep your hopes up for what's next. Keep your hopes up for what is yet to come. Embrace all of that. Know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I want to thank you all for this time and for this space. Until the next time we meet. By the way, tomorrow is the 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you. I'll spend the day, the evening with somebody that you love, somebody who loves you, and make sure that you tune. Make sure that you all tune in at this time and space next Tuesday. And until then, make sure you tell somebody, come on and let's talk to color. Have a good night.